Countertops dry, and we mixed up some Icoat composite mix to go over the top. And right now I'm doing the edge. You can just put that on with the brush, like so. You don't have to put it on perfect. And then I take a piece of the form that we broke off, and you can just run that right along the edge to make it smoother. You know, and this will take a couple coats, but this dries really fast. It'll be dry in 10 minutes or less, and then you can go over it again. Got the countertops covered in the Icoat composite. So now we're ready to do a base color. Basically what I'm going to do is spritz on some water. Then when it's wet, you know, you just do a light mist. Then when it's wet, I'm going to mist over it with the Kodiak, mortar, and caramel dispersion colors. And when you do that, you just kind of just hit it random spots and let it set for a little bit. Then if you want, you can go over it with like a sea sponge to mix the colors a little bit. And I guess I'll show you how to do that right now in this little section. So this is just water in a cleaner's bottle. Just do a light mist. Make sure to get the edges too. Okay, good enough. Now I'm going to take some Kodiak. Make sure to shake them. This I added some water to it out of the bottles. It says to add two or three capfuls per 10 ounces of water. So you can add more color or less color depending on what you're going for. And then just shoot it on. Doesn't have to look that great. And you can overlap the color. You can shoot some that areas that are a little darker, leave some completely blank. It's completely up to you. So do that there. And just shoot in a little bit of mortar gray here and there. I'm going to take some caramel. It's quite a bit lighter. Shoot that. Maybe a little bit more Kodiak. Now I got a sea sponge right here. Just go around and you don't have to do the whole thing with the sea sponge. You could just leave it alone if you want. So I'm just do certain spots that might run together a little more. I'm going to hit with the sea sponge and probably the edge. And that's it. Just do the whole thing and then let it dry. So I got the whole thing colored. It's a little wet still in spots. Kind of see what it looks like. It just looks like a wash, and you can actually pull some of the color off with a wet sponge, which is what I've been doing, and I've been making lighter veins. You can kind of see one there. This is basically, there's a little bit of color there, but I just wipe it off with a wet sponge and then kind of blot up to it with my sea sponge. Did that here as well, and a little here. And you want to make them look random. You don't want them to be too side by side. You don't want to create too many. Because if you do too many, it gets kind of muddled. When it dries, you can tell it'll lighten up a lot. Like here's wet, and then here's over here's dry. So that'll lighten up. But then when you put the epoxy over it, it does make it look wet again, so it makes the colors really pop. And if you wanted to just put clear epoxy over this, if you liked how it looked, you certainly could. but you don't get any of the cool cobwebbing effects, or that looks like a bunch of little cracks of color, like you can when you just add color to the epoxy, like so. I mean, you won't get any of this effect. I also added mica flakes. You can see them little. I crunched them up so that they were random sizes. Like there's one. There's a bigger one that's kind of a charcoal. There's copper and bronze and gold colored flecks in here. So we're gonna do this countertop later today when this dries. Alright, it's pretty much dry. That's what it looks like. There's a couple small wet spots still. There's one of my lighter veins I did. There's another vein. There's another little vein. So, probably wait another, I don't know, I think it's like 10 o'clock right now. I'll probably wait till 2 or 3 to come back and epoxy it. And when we epoxy, we'll go from here to the edge of the sink somewhere and cut it off. And try to finish this with color in the epoxy, get it how I want it, and then proceed from there to the end to color it. And I kind of want to plan out where my veins are going to go so that they're all going in the same general direction, which will be like this throughout the whole thing. I mean, they don't all have to go exactly that direction. Some will veer off this way, then come back and correct. Because in nature, water is always going to flow in one general direction, so you want to keep that in mind if you're doing veins. We made, which is a little bit of the color from Icoat and mixed with Murphy's oil, soap, and water. Just kind of pick your pattern you want. You just shoot it on a little bit. Make sure you get the edge. You just work it around with your brush. Doesn't look like much now, but in a little bit it'll turn into what you see everywhere else. And we're adding a little bit of orangish color to certain spots. And just work it in. Kind of almost like a rust color. If you put in just a couple drops like that and let it go, it'll just keep spreading out.
You can blow on it.
Yeah. It'll do interesting designs.
Color on that one?
Sure.
Which one?
This sounds good. Then we're doing a vein with the orange color.
But
But you could even just let that lay
Yeah.
if you wanted to. If you wanted to look kind of like a crack.
Depends how orange you want it.
Yeah, then we also take clear. We run that down certain paths, and it'll make interesting patterns in it. I mean, you really do whatever you want with this. It's kind of weird how it works.
Put it on that bead.
Maybe do a vein over here with the clear. You can do like blobs with it, and it'll just make interesting things.
Bead's a little dark, isn't it?
Yeah, if you want to lighten an area up, just run
Mix it in a little bit.
it down with clear, and then you mix it in with your brush. We're back the next day, and now this is finally dry to the touch. Looks really awesome. Turned out well. The only thing about using the suspension colors with the Murphy's Oil Soap is that it does create orange peely, which you can kind of see there. An orange peel effect on the top of the epoxy, and this can be fixed by just putting another layer of epoxy, just regular clear epoxy, over this layer. It doesn't have to be very thick either, which is what we did over here. This had the same deal going on, but now it is really smooth. And then the only thing left to do on this particular countertop is to knock down the shine by honing it. Now we're on to the honing process. First thing I did was get rid of all my drips on the bottom edge here. I didn't have too many, so I just took a 5-in-1 tool and a hammer and just lightly chipped them off. It's very easy to do, real quick. What Icoat says to do is take a torch and heat them up, and then just run your 5-in-1 tool along the edge, and it should be soft enough that they pop off. I tried that. It worked pretty good. I just thought it was quicker just to use a hammer and then 5-in-1. So whichever one you want to do there. Then I took 150 grit sandpaper and just sanded the edge. And this works with the block of wood. This works well because you can really get in the crack there for my particular edge. So that's kind of what I did there. Then I also used one of these 3M ultrafine Brillo pads on the edge to finish it off. What Icoat says to do on the surface is take one of these pads, the 3M ultrafine pad, and some honing oil, put it down, then take your orbital sander and then go over the whole surface. I tried that in some spots. It worked okay. I didn't really like it. I felt like it made the finish too flat, and you could see the lines from the pad. And so what I decided to do was actually wet sand it. Went to Napa and got some 1200 grit automotive wet sanding paper, and then just some water, and shoot it on the surface and just sand away. You can press as hard as you want. You don't have to worry about over wet sanding because it's only going to go to a 1200 grit consistency, and you can see it works up a slurry pretty quick. And that's, all that white is means that you're roughing up the surface pretty good, and then that really knocks down the shine to a level that I think looks good on the lighter countertop at least. You can kind of see it there. It's really knocked down from other spots You know, you could tell it was really shiny before. And so that's what I did in here. And then in the master, I wanted to bring the shine back a little bit because it really got flat in there because it's like a blacker countertop. Went to Napa and got this Perfected 3M rubbing compound and a rubbing pad, and I just put a little bit of this down and just took this pad and did kind of the same thing as wet sanding it, and really in no time at all that polished up the countertop really easily, really quickly. Didn't need a power tool for it, just by hand, and it rubbed it back to a shine. So I guess I'll show you that one real quick. Show you that turned out. And there it is. You can see it's pretty shiny, but it's not as shiny as it was when it was freshly poured. So. Kitchen looks like all done. So the island turned out. Here's the kitchenette. I'm getting ready to move in, hopefully this weekend, so pretty excited about that. All in all, this I got some quote on. I got a quote on some Granite just to do this piece and the island over there would have been $5,000. Then I would have had to do something else for that and the 2 bathrooms that I previously showed you. And who knows how much that would have cost and what I would have been able to do. So all in all, pouring the concrete, or buying the form system, pouring the concrete, and then buying the coloring system from Icoat cost me about $1,800 to do the whole house. And that was buying a couple things that I didn't even need to use, that I didn't end up using. So I probably could have done it possibly even cheaper. Turn the slide over here. So you can see the cool detail that you get from this process. I mean, I think it looks really good. It turned out great, is my personal opinion. So I would highly recommend the Icoat system. It's not hard to do. It gives you some really cool effects. And then I got this neat backsplash that just happened to match the countertop really well. And I guess that's it. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate it if you could please subscribe and give me a like. Thanks.